This is an artist book that I made about my family while I was in college, and it's called These Roots Go Deeper Than the Birth Surface, an original family tree book. It's about my crazy family. It says, I'm scaling this center line, this middle link that holds two families together. Between two powerful webs, I formed bonds far greater than what has never held my parents together. I am the only one, the center, the middle link. I've been the oldest, the youngest, and all in between. My mother, my left, my creator, gave me gifts of patience and zeal. She gave me poetry. She let me see with these beautiful eyes she gave to me. I am the only link between these two. But I ask now, how can I still have 5 brothers and 2 sisters, but still be an only child? My parents didn't marry each other. This was not a forever love. Now I, between them, am that forever love. My father, my right, my creator, gave me gifts of courage and strength. He gave me music. He let me sing with these lips he gave to me. So here's how the story goes. My father, Frederick Sachs, was born January 8th, 1941. He grew into a man and married a woman named Loretta. They wanted children, but were told that they could have none. So when my dad was 29 years old, they adopted my oldest sister, Shoshana Akiko Sachs, who was born on April 18th, 1970. 2 years later, they found out that they could have children, and my brother, Christopher Jordan Buffalo Grass Sachs, was born on March 12th, 1972. A few years after that, my dad and Loretta got divorced. Shauna went to live with her in South Carolina, and Chris stayed with my dad. Meanwhile, my mother, Robin K. Herneman, was born January 19th, 1948. She grew into a woman and on June 9th, 1969, married Robert Edwin Willoughby, and she changed her name to match his. Nearly 10 years later, my mom gave birth to Jacob Reuben Willoughby on February 19th, 1979. In the early 80s, my mom and Bob separated, but didn't divorce until 1985. Coincidentally, at this time, my mom was employed as a seamstress in my real father's first wife, Loretta's store. My dad and Loretta had gotten divorced, and my mom and Bob were separated, and in 1982, my mom and my dad got together. I was not a planned baby, but my mom knew she had to keep me, even though my dad was against it. My dad said he was going away for a while, but he didn't, and he didn't tell my mom. When the time came for me to be born, my mom's husband, Bob, came to the hospital and took photos and held her hand and held me, even though they were separated, and he knew I was not his child. Since he was there, being the father figure, my mom had the hospital put his name on my birth certificate, so for all legal purposes, Robert Willoughby is my father. Shortly after this, my real father, Fred Sachs, arrived at the hospital, but the birth certificate was never changed. After I was born, my real father, Fred, married a woman named Susan Lankenau on June 23, 1984. On September 8, 1986, Susan gave birth to Benjamin Lankenau Sachs. It was a difficult birth, and she can't have any more children. In 1989, my legal father, Bob Willoughby, started dating a woman who lived down the block named Catherine Tarbell. Her maiden name is Fitzgerald, and she had a boy named Brian on February 12, 1981, and a girl named Jennifer on February 14, 1986, both from her first marriage to Mark Tarbell. So my 3rd grade year comes around, and I have Kate Tarbell as not only my dad's girlfriend, but my 3rd grade teacher as well. They continued dating, and I eventually got out of 3rd grade. Meanwhile, right before 4th grade, my real father, Fred, and his wife, Susan, adopted a 3-year-old boy named Robert Grant Bostic Sachs, or Bobby for short. He was born July 31st, 1988. When I was 14, Bob and Kate, my 3rd grade teacher, got married, and her 2 kids became legal step-siblings to me. The youngest and oldest of my siblings are both adopted. I was the youngest at my mother's house, in the middle at Bob and Kate's, and the oldest at Fred and Susan's because Chris and Shauna, my real father's kids from his first marriage, had already moved out of the house. So here's where it all comes together. I'm the only child between my 2 biological parents. I currently have a 32-year-old sister, a 30-year-old brother, a 23-year-old brother, a 21-year-old brother, and then there's me at 19 years old. Then my 16-year-old sister, my 15-year-old brother, and finally my 13-year-old brother. Thus, I have 7 brothers and sisters, but I am an only child. It was a crazy way to grow up, but I couldn't have it any other way. I love to be that center link that binds with a love far stronger than what has never held my parents together. And this is my mom's side of the book. There's There's my mama later. Her name is Robin. And some pictures of her when she was young. And throughout this book, I have my favorite memories and stories with each person. So my mom's is, I know this sounds bad, but my favorite memory is when she was trying to spank me with a broken fly swatter and both of us laughing hysterically about the futility of it, and then having her say that she'd never try to spank me again, and she didn't. My favorite story that she ever told me was about how my grandma met Allen Ginsberg and called him a monster. And then when you flip that section over, you can see my mom's life, married to her husband, Bob. And there's pictures of them when they got together. And out from the bottom here, we'll be pulling a branch of the tree for my brother, Jake. My favorite memory with Jake was when we used to stay up all night just so we could watch Video Power at 6 a.m. during the summer when we were off school. Then, if you continue along this branch of my family tree, you will see pictures of me with my dad, Bob, over in this section here. There's a picture of him holding me on the day I was born. And my favorite story he ever told me about was his first violin lesson in college when he used his bow to fence with his teacher. And my favorite memory is when I helped him make a pair of stilts so I could finally be tall like everyone else. And then comes to the section where my dad, Bob, got together with Kate. And so this section is about that part of my family. And my favorite story that Kate ever told me was The Hobbit, when I was in the play in 3rd grade when she was my teacher. My favorite memory is either going to the ocean in Florida and collecting Spanish moss and coconuts, or having her teach me how to play Fiorelise on the piano. This branch of the tree is for Kate's 2 kids, so her son Brian, my brother. My favorite memory is when he brought out my rebel side and we put cocoa butter on tissues and threw them up on his mom's bedroom ceiling. I know it was bad, but man, it was funny. And for her daughter Jennifer, my favorite memory is when we used to share a room on Saturday nights. We would stay up extra late throwing balled up socks at each other. So that is the story of that side of my family. And the branches of this family tree book all fold back up because there are so many of these branches. And then eventually, once they're all folded up, we'll make our way to the other side, to my biological dad's side of the family and the family I had over there. Back to the center. Flip it over, and here is my biological dad, Fred. I called him Dad, not Daddy. And my favorite memory with my dad is listening to Goodnight Irene while driving out in the country in his old white pickup truck. And the branch that comes off the bottom of that is for his first wife, Loretta. I, at the time when I made this book, had never met Lori, so I don't have a favorite memory of her directly, but my mom told me that once Loretta had her make a huge 8-foot square pillow for Chris and Shauna to play on, and how Loretta and my dad had to tie it to the top of their car on Christmas Eve, and the pillow was so huge that it came down on all sides of the car, and they could barely get out of the car when they finally got home. At the bottom of this family tree section, this branch, are my sister, Shauna. My favorite memory is hanging out together in Boston and going to the baseball game and cruising the streets in search of boys, cute boys, and realizing who we really are. And my brother Chris on the other side. My favorite memory is hanging out at Spot Coffee in downtown Buffalo and really getting to know who we'd both become. So this branch of the family tree actually was from before I was born, when Chris and Shauna were born. So after that, my favorite story that my dad ever told me was how he filled up a friend's dorm room with crumpled newspaper all the way to the top of the ceiling, because he was that kind of guy. This section of the book is when my dad got together with Sue. And Sue has been my stepmother since I was about 1.5 years old. This is about their part of their life together. My favorite memory with Sue is either taking the road trip to New York City for Meryl's bat mitzvah and doing Mad Libs in the car, or when I got an email from her saying my little brothers had asked her to turn down her Ani DeFranco CD because it was too loud. My favorite story that she ever told me was about how she and her siblings used to have contests to see who could say 77 Bengal Lancers the most times while only breathing in. And the end of this branch of the family tree has my two younger brothers, Ben, and my favorite memory is of hanging out in my room together and listening to the Beatles records at 45 speed, so it was more like the Beatles meet the Chipmunks. And on the other side, my youngest brother, Bobby, and my favorite memory is seeing him for the first time after that side of the family got back from living in England for a year. I remember he said in a half British, half Floridian accent, "When I'm 5, I get to have caps for my cap gun." And the word caps sounded more like cups, and it just stuck with me. So that is the story of my crazy family and how I have 7 brothers and sisters, but I'm still an only child. I grew up at 3 different houses every single week in different socioeconomic backgrounds and in different areas, and it led me to make this crazy book. This book is made in a case-bound codex style with accordions built in, and it is made using handmade paper from Nepal that is all hand cut, and all of the text inside are done using photocopy transfers using Citrus Strip paint stripper.